Welcome to TTF, Tech Tip Friday. I'm your host, Kurt Staley, that plastics guy, and today we're going to continue our mini-series on physical property characteristics of material. And we're going to address what is arguably the most common and widely used specification when you're talking about material, and that is melt flow. So what is it? Well, melt flow is actually a very specific regulated test as outlined by, and I'm checking my show notes here, ASTM D1238 or ISO 1133. And the gist of it is you have a melt flow measuring instrument. Like, it's a real scientific instrument. This isn't something that's done in a haphazard way. And a certain sample of the material in question, 4 to 5 grams, is put into, it's almost a mini hopper. And that machine heats that plastic up for a few minutes till it gets to the desired temperature. And it's typically 190 Celsius or 230 Celsius. But your data sheet will tell you the temperature that is used. And a weight is placed on top of this molten material, in that little miniature hopper. And either the device or you have to measure it with a stopwatch. But typically the device will have a built-in stopwatch that measures how much material flows through the heated element of the melt flow machine into a receiving crucible. Once it's measured, like over a specific time, the weight of that content in the receiving crucible is measured. And that will give you, and again, I have to check my show notes to make sure I quote this directly, MFI is expressed in grams of the polymer per 10 minutes of the duration of the test. So a couple of things when you're reading the actual data sheet and you're trying to compare two materials, make sure that they're both being tested to the same specification, either the ASTM or the ISO. The temperature that the melt flow index machine is being set to is the same, that 190 or 230 Celsius temperature. That has to be set the same because that will obviously impact how the material flows. And finally, you may want to investigate the weight that is used to actually act as a plunger to push the molten material down through the instrument and into the receiving crucible. So once you can be assured that if you're doing a material comparison, all of those things are equal between two materials, then you know that you will actually have a fair comparison when you're looking at two different data sheets. So again, it's simply putting molten material through an instrument, recording how much is received into a receiving crucible over a period of time, and that gives you a number like 30, 20, 10, or perhaps a fractional melt if you're dealing with a blow molding grade HDPE, for example. So that is your tech tip for Tech Tip Friday. I'm Kurt Staley. Have a fantastic day on the shop floor. Stay cool. We're in the midst of a heat wave here. I hope it's tolerable where you are. And we'll be back at you next week with more information on physical properties. Thanks so much. Have a great day and a great weekend. We'll see you next week.